Yo, what up everybody? This is Hebrew, aka Jeff Banks, aka some kind of audio engineering guy, mixing, mastering, freelance, I don't know, whatever. What we're going to be looking at today is something I've been discovering about these digital EQs. So to start off with, I use the SSL X EQ 2 pretty often, but I've been thinking about making the transition to using that on individual channels instead of using the Pro EQ. You know, that's the standard EQ that comes with Studio One. I'm trying to see if there's any type of improvement differences these two EQs might have that maybe I can use the SSL EQ over the Pro EQ just because it looks better. Why does that matter? Because I like looking at nice things. So what I decided to do was a small little test. I wanted to test the curves. I did this to the Pro EQ beforehand, so I know what the Pro EQ will and will not do after comparing it to Ozone. But when I compared it with the SSL X EQ, I got some really interesting results. That's what you would call it. So let's dive in. Check this out. First thing I'm gonna show you is the SSL EQ and Pro EQ parameters. So the SSL EQ and Pro EQ is gonna have a 3 dB boost at 1 kilohertz with the Q value of 1. I'm also gonna reflect the same thing in Ozone. Now, the next thing I'm gonna make sure of is the SSL and the Pro EQ are on 2 separate channels. In Studio One, if you open up the input controls, you can flip the polarity, not phase. You can flip the polarity of one of those tracks. And since it's stereo, we're gonna do the left and the right. Now, the next thing I'm gonna do is make sure I have insight showing or some type of meter, whether Ozone, whatever you like to use, so we can see the variations in frequency while we're doing this process. So once we have that set up, we're gonna check out the track. And the one I'm using is Day by Day from Carolyn Tuesday. All right, so I went ahead and pulled up all the windows that we need at this point. And what I want you to see is that these 2 tracks here are indeed polarity inverted. So let's play them. Okay, so we do understand that these 2 tracks are inverted with each other. So I have insight here to give us our analysis of what's going on. And just to confirm, you can see that in the Pro EQ, this is raised 3 dB, 1K, Q value of 1. And same thing over here, 3 dB, 1K, Q factor of 1. So what happens when I play these 2 simultaneously? Okay, something interesting happens. This does not cancel out or null perfectly, which means there is something left that's happening that these two EQs are not phasing out or canceling out with each other. So what I always do now with these EQs is I test them against Ozone, because Ozone 9 is supposed to be a digital mastering EQ. If it says it is EQing something, it is EQing exactly what you input into it. Therefore, if you drop 3 dB, it will be 3 dB at that frequency, at that Q factor. Because we can look at the SSL and Pro EQ, even though they have the same parameters, one of them is not true. So we open up Ozone 9. I'm gonna close out this Pro EQ. Here I have told Ozone to be this, and I'm using ozone as my standard. I'm comparing all my EQs to ozone. So in my test, if it doesn't null with ozone, there is something different about this EQ, as this is supposedly to be a mastering grade EQ. Just a big form of a correctly made digital EQ. So let's first test the Pro EQ. This nulling is almost perfect at this frequency. Almost perfect. It's a little bit of rumble down there, but mostly something that you're not really gonna think of. The SSL, if this is the standard and that's the boost that I made, we're almost doing perfect, which is pretty good. Let's try the SSL. So you see, when it comes to using these EQs, we have to understand that it all comes down to personal taste. However, make sure you have a mission of what you're going to use the EQ for, and you don't want to make blanket statements very easily as this EQ is going to sound better because I bought it from this company. Because as we see here, the Pro EQ does a good job exactly what it's supposed to do in comparison to Ozone 9. Therefore, I can faithfully use this EQ whenever I need to. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe to the channel. If you like me, like and subscribe to the channel. If you don't, like and subscribe to the channel, and I can get more videos on the way for you guys, hoping to give you something every week. And like I said, got plenty of content on the way. Stay tuned, share to everybody that you know, and deuces, people.